spent a very long time needing closure from people who have hurt me until I realized something. There's so many times where I chased closure from people that I loved dearly and I cared for dearly, but honestly didn't deserve the way I felt about them, the way I gave my heart to them, and the way I cared for them. For me, closure was more of an explanation. I didn't really expect apologies from anybody because I didn't believe that if you could hurt me that badly, that you would be sorry. That's just how I felt. There's just certain things that you just don't do, and I don't need your apology because you did it and you can't go back. So I don't need your apology because if you didn't mean to hurt me, you wouldn't have. That's just how I feel. So I never needed an apology because F your apology. I don't care. But what I want to understand, because I have a hard time understanding humans logically, emotionally, I can get it and I can find where, you would react a certain way for different things in different situations and different people and all of that. I can find it, but still, if there's a logical reason versus an emotional reason, I always veer towards the logical reason, and sometimes I can't fathom emotional impulses and reactions and decision making. I do my best to try to give myself closure. I come up with reasons why or what happened, and most of the time it comes down to it was my fault, I did something wrong, but I can't really pinpoint what I did wrong. So that's where the explanation kind of comes in, where I'm like, all right, cool, you did it, we're done, why are we done? I want to understand because logically it's not making sense. When I didn't get that, it affected me a lot more than I would have liked to. I look back and I'm like, ooh, why did it bother us that much? That's not that it's weird, because it's not weird. It's very human. But again, I have issues with humanness of things sometimes. I just logically, no. Why did we let it bother us that much? Why did we blame ourselves immediately? But that, that comes from trauma. I am dealing with that. I have almost dealt with it. That part of me is almost gone. It's more I do it initially, but then I quiet it down because I'm like, no. Because if they're not telling you it's your fault, that's none of your business. It's not your fault. If you can't tell me that I'm the problem, it's not my problem. It's not my business. I don't need to know. But yeah, initially I would blame myself and I would kind of be an emotional wreck because not only did I lose somebody that I cared about, but I lost somebody because of me, and that wrecked me. Things affect me, things, especially when it's chosen people, my chosen family, my chosen relationships, or the guys that I would give my efforts to. I put my whole heart into everybody that I care about, and so when I lose somebody, it really, really, really hurts. I would hold on. I don't even think it was to hope. I think it would be well, I don't actually know what the problem is, so maybe the problem can be fixed. So I would hold on to some kind of hope or some kind of one day they're gonna realize that they messed up and they're gonna come back. And it was one day soon. It's not, I don't know. I watched too many movies as a kid. But yeah, I held on to them for so long until my last straw. And then that's when it was you are just no good for me at all. You're not meant to be here, and that's okay. The beautiful thing is I learned to stop chasing closure, stop wanting it, stop needing it, stop caring about it. One thing that I realized over time, just doing the inner work, was that they did what they felt like they needed to do for themselves, and it had nothing to do with me. So as much as I wanted an explanation, they most likely wouldn't have been able to give me one because it was something that they felt like they needed to, and sometimes that doesn't even have an explanation. So it's not personal. And for me as an adult, if it is personal, if there's something that I did wrong, you should be adult enough to let me know, so then I never do that again. It doesn't have to mean we get back together or we become friends again, but I don't ever want to do something that's going to hurt somebody and in return I'm gonna lose them. Like, I want to be aware and mindful of my behavior if it costs anybody anything, any pain and stuff. So if you're not adult enough to tell me that I did something wrong, I didn't do nothing wrong. I don't care. And I'm very self-aware, so if I did do something wrong, either I've already checked myself and I'll come over to you and apologize, or it's subjective. You think what I did was wrong and I don't see anything wrong with that. And that's okay. That's a thing that happens because we're all individuals and we all feel differently. But I will tell you right now, I would never do something that does not feel morally okay for me, that I would not be able to live with intentionally. So it's really hard for me to do something morally wrong. But if you don't feel good, that's a you thing. If you let me know, I might apologize and be like, I'm sorry that I made you feel that way. Wasn't my intention, and that's not where I was coming from, kind of thing. Like, have an adult conversation. But if you're not willing to, then I'm not willing to feel anything for the situation, and I don't need the closure. Now I don't need closure. I'm okay. Life is amazing. I love focusing on myself, and yeah, I don't need closure from anybody because I can give it to myself easily. Easily. It's not a problem anymore. Damn, it feels good to say that out loud because, woo, I had it bad. Oh, it was so bad. Closure doesn't always have to come from somebody else. You don't always need a specific answer, a specific a specific explanation. Sometimes you can just give that to yourself. Like, if they're not willing to give it to you, just give it to yourself. Have conversations with yourself, reflect. Reflecting is an incredible thing. When you look back on how you've done something, how you handled a situation, what you've said, if you can go through that and at the end of it, you're like, you know what? It's okay. I don't see where I did anything wrong. They wanted what they wanted. I don't actually need to know why they decided it was over or why they didn't want to be friends with me. Because, again, like I said before, it could very much be a very personal reason. Like, people could not want to be friends with you because they don't like that you get attention that they so badly want. That's not really your business. That is very much a personal problem for them, and you don't need to know that. Take it from me, as somebody who has been friends with somebody who was in a weird secret competition with me and just hated me because I was myself and people enjoyed who I was as me, and they felt like that they weren't getting the same attention. And I'm the type of friend that would remind you who you are, because what the heck? Like, you're incredible, yet you feel like you have to compare yourself to me, and I just don't understand it. Like, in my head, it doesn't make sense, because clearly you don't see what I see in you. And as somebody who has tried to convince somebody of their worth and why they should never compare themselves to me, don't waste your time. Just don't do it, because people are only willing to listen and understand from their level of comprehension and their level of security and their level of healing that they're at. You can't help nobody who don't want to be helped. So take it from me and don't even bother. Don't even try. There is no convincing somebody who's stuck in their ways. If you're still waiting for closure, you still feel like closure is going to help you move on. If you're still waiting, you're still feeling like you need closure, let me let you know this now. You're allowed to move on without their permission. You're allowed to embrace the new that life has for you. You're allowed to move on to the next best thing, to experience life's beauty and amazing, incredible. You're allowed to not wait for an explanation. You're allowed to not have it be your business. You're allowed to not care to know. You're allowed to make that decision for yourself. And you don't need them to make that decision for you. You're so much stronger than you think you are. And there's so much out there for you to experience. You don't need to wait on them. Who are they? Give yourself permission, because your approval is the only one that matters. See you guys for the next conversation. Bye.